There is a photograph that broke the internet. It shows a young man, 20 years old, shy, barely famous, holding a baby in a bathtub inside a stadium locker room. The baby is 6 months old. Neither of them knows what is about to happen to their lives. That photograph was taken in 2007. The young man holding the baby is Lionel Messi, and the baby is the player the entire world cannot stop watching right now. His name is Lamine Yamal, and what happened to him is one of the most extraordinary stories in the history of sport. But here's what nobody talks about. It's not just the goals. It's not just the records. It's where he came from and what he's carrying every single time he touches the ball. Stay with me, because this story connects to something much bigger than soccer. Picture a neighborhood nobody had ever heard of, Rocafonda, a working-class enclave in Mataró, a coastal town 20 miles north of Barcelona. About half of its 11,000 residents are classified as at risk of poverty. The apartment buildings are run down. There are no lifts. On the weekends, kids play on a concrete slab that doubles as a soccer pitch, just a short walk from the Mediterranean. This is where Lamine Yamal learned to play. His father, Munir, came from Morocco. His mother, Sheila, came from Equatorial Guinea. His grandmother had crossed the Mediterranean from Tangier in 1990 with just a passport and her savings. No plan, no guarantee, just a belief that something better was possible on the other side. Yamal grew up between two cities, two parents who had separated, and three different continents living inside him. It was a neighborhood where no one knew what was going to happen in their lives, Yamal said in an interview. You see your parents working, they can't be with you all the time, and you feel uncertain about what's going to happen to you. His mother worked late shifts. She couldn't always be there. But every night, no matter how late, she made him dinner when she came home. Years later, when he was earning more money than he ever thought possible, the first thing Yamal did was buy her a house. He said, "She's my queen. She deserves everything." That's who this kid is. And here's where it gets interesting. When Barcelona scouts spotted him kicking a ball on that concrete slab, he was 6 years old. 6! They invited him to train at La Masia, the club's legendary youth academy. He took to train there himself, a little boy with a big bag riding the rails alone towards something he couldn't yet name. At La Masia, coaches moved him up through age groups immediately. He wasn't playing with kids his own age. He was always the youngest and always the best. And somewhere between that concrete slab and the Camp Nou, something extraordinary started to form. July 9th, 2024, Munich, Germany. The Euro 2024 semifinal, Spain versus France. Lamine Yamal is on the field. He is 16 years old and 362 days, 4 days from his 17th birthday. France scores first. The stadium goes tense. Spain needs something. In the 21st minute, Yamal receives the ball well outside the 18-yard box. France's defense reads it. They know what's coming. They've been watching him all tournament. But knowing something is coming and stopping it are two very different things. He fakes right, sets himself on his left foot, and fires a curling shot from 25 yards that soars over the outstretched hand of France's goalkeeper, clips the inside of the post, and hits the back of the net. The stadium erupts. In that single moment, Lamine Yamal became the youngest scorer in the history of the European Championship, breaking a record that had stood for 20 years, held by a Swiss player who was 18 years old at the time. Yamal beat that record by more than a year. He also, in the same game, became the youngest player ever to appear in a major tournament semifinal, surpassing a record set in 1958 by Pelé. Pelé, 1958, a 16-year-old from a concrete pitch and Rocafonda, just beat a record held by the greatest player of the 20th century. Spain won 2-1. They went to the final. They won the whole thing. And when Yamal celebrated on that pitch in Berlin, he flashed a hand sign. 3 fingers on one hand, 4 on the other. Thumbs and forefingers making a 0. 304. The postal code of Rocafonda. The neighborhood that nobody knew. The concrete slab. The grandmother who crossed the sea. The mother who always made dinner. Every goal, every time. He brings it all with him. Think about this. In the build-up to the 2025 Champions League semi-final against Inter Milan, the Inter coaching staff asks 6 of their players, goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, striker, to name the toughest opponent they had faced all season. All 6 chose Lamine. Inter's coach said, "Lamine is the kind of talent that comes along every 50 years. He was 17, and now at the 2026 World Cup held right here in the United States, he is the most watched player on the planet." Here's the part that changes everything. Go back to that photograph from 2007. Messi, 20 years old, holding a baby in a bathtub. At the time, Messi was exciting, but no one could have predicted what he would become. And no one in that room could have predicted what the baby would become either. Yamal's family kept those photos hidden for years. Not to protect the secret, but because they didn't want people making comparisons. They didn't want the pressure of being the next Messi to crush what he was becoming on his own. When the photos finally came out during Euro 2024, Yamal said, "The truth is I'm surprised. Messi is holding me in his arms and I'm not even looking at him. I don't know what I was doing, but I'm very happy to have the photo with the best player in history." He was not trying to be Messi. He was just trying to be Lamine. That distinction matters more than you think, because this World Cup, Yamal is not a prodigy anymore. He is not a teenager playing above his age group. He carries Barcelona's number 10 shirt, the same number worn by Messi, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo. He is the player Inter Milan feared most. He is the player who shattered records set by Pelé. He will turn 19 on July 13th, the day before the semifinals, in America, on the biggest stage sports has ever known. And somewhere in Rocafonda, on that concrete pitch, just a short walk from the sea, kids are holding up 3 fingers on one hand and 4 on the other. 304. They don't know if they'll be soccer players or architects or painters or something they can't yet name. But they know this. One of them made it out, and every time he scores, he looks back. That's why the whole world is watching. Not just because of the goals, because of what the goals mean. What do you think? Can Lamine Yamal lead Spain to the World Cup title? Drop your prediction in the comments.